Alright, so welcome back. So, while the guy was getting his pickup unstuck, I went and did a couple other things, and before I know it, it was about an hour later. So, but don't remember exactly where I left off, but I know I was talking about the mower deck and whatnot. But yeah, you'll see it in the videos anyway, that one hole there, as you can see, literally right through the mower deck, you know. That's not because the mower deck is broken, that's actually the hole where the spindle would obviously would go through, right? So, but, I don't know, I'll talk to John Deere, see what John Deere charges for that part. I know that you can order them online or whatever. I think you can actually order them right through John Deere's website, but in order to get an actual price, well, I think you have to make an account and kind of other stuff, and I'm not going to really do that when I could just simply call my local dealer and just, you know, pick it up whenever. So, but I imagine they're not that expensive, so I will just order one, probably not next month, but the month after, because that'll probably be when I don't think snow will start to melt, but it might not be. I mean, we'll be one step closer to spring anyway, but I may want to maybe swap places with the John Deere. Well, right now I got basically it's like this. You know, you got the John Deere, and then the mower deck's up against the wall, right? There's no room. So I think what I'm going to do is, since I have to lay the mower deck kind of somewhat down, I'm going to move the John Deere ahead so it'll be closer to the door, and then I'll put the mower deck down in the back and then start working on it from there. So, but it looks like the bolts that hold the spindle to the mower deck, they're they got the square neck on them, or whatever you want to call it. Like, they're smooth underneath. You don't need a wrench underneath. You just need something on top to loosen them. So that's pretty much it on that. But the pulley, I don't know. I got to figure that one out. I think the pulley is technically only bolted into place. So I think if you just loosen the pulley bolt or the nut, then the pulley should slide off the shaft, and then salvage whatever you can salvage off of that, and then bolt the new spindle on, and you know, just put her back on. So I don't know, and when you look at it, it doesn't really look that bad, but the only reason why I don't like it, you know, the idea of doing it, is just because I'm basically tearing into something I've never messed with before, you know, and it's all new to me. So, but I guess that's the only way you're going to really learn and stuff like that, right? So, but I don't know, I just don't really want to, you know, frick it up, and then it's got to go there anyway. So, but I don't know, we'll see. I'll probably call John Deere maybe next month towards the end there, and then because I know they probably won't have one in stock, they'll have to order that, so, which is fine. But as long as they can still get them, which I'm sure they can, I don't know why John Deere would not make parts anymore. If they do, then that's going to be a huge fucking problem. So then I guess John Deere can pay for a newer mower then, because I'm not buying a new mower. That's not what I signed up for. So I didn't sign up to have to replace my stuff just because John Deere doesn't make parts anymore. But I'm sure they do. That mower's only, it's a 2009 model, so they technically should still have parts for it. I don't know if they're making those parts really anymore. I imagine they've made billions over the last few years, and they got them sitting on a shelf. That's what I mean. So, but basically new old stock kind of stuff, right? It's been sitting on a shelf for a few years, but whatever. So, but yeah, so I'll talk to John Deere about it next month. We still got a little ways to go yet, and I'm still trying to get caught up in the house. I'll look into that part for the mower deck at some point, probably not this month coming up, but next month, the month after that. We'll be a little bit closer to spring, and I don't think it'll be much nicer out to want to work on anything, but, you might as well start stockpiling parts. I should also get more John Deere yellow paint, too, because I got to paint the mower deck. There's the one area that I missed, and I got to, sand it all down or whatever, but I got one can there, but I don't think that's going to be enough. So I got to, and they're like $16 a can, too, so I would need at least, I think one more could probably do it, I guess. Because the next area I want to paint is it's a much smaller area. There's a little bit left in there, but it ain't much. You would need at least probably one more can. But I need to get more of that and some more International Harvester Red too. So, but then I got to order online. So, but yeah, and then the other thing I want to talk about is Big Red. I did some snooping around on Big Red. Well, not on Big Red, but online. Just to see what it would take to replace these ball joints. Because that's what's shot on that wheel. It's the bottom one's completely shot, and I think the rest of them are slowly going out. There's finally a fucking video online. The video was 7 years old, but how I mean, I guess because I don't need the video. I didn't need that video. For, I didn't need it. So, but now I needed it. But I don't know. Sometimes I have a hard time finding things that I need, and it's like you let a couple years go by, and then it's like all of a sudden there it is. But so the lower ball joints on these four-wheelers are not that bad to replace. Unfortunately, you do have to remove. I mean, well, we know we got to remove the tire. That's just obviously a given. So, but you do have to remove the A-arm. There's two of these on each side. There's an upper and a lower. The lower one is going to be easier than the uppers because the uppers have the shock hooked to them, and then you have the brake lines and everything attached to that. So you have to basically, move all that stuff out of the way. But I figured, maybe if we could do the lower ball joints for now, that would be a start. But unfortunately, you do have to actually remove the whole entire A-arm from the machine because you're supposed to use a hydraulic press to press them out. Well, I knew that. I knew that they were pressed in there. They weren't bolted in there. They're pressed into to the arm, but that one guy says that you probably could get away with using a hammer. You could beat it out and then beat the new one in. Another guy said to just use your vise. I don't know if I think mine would be better than the one at the farm because the one at the farm is a much smaller vise than mine. I think mine has more leverage and the jaws are not that big, unfortunately, but I think they would technically be a little bit bigger than my uncle's vise that we have sitting outside. I mean, it's not that big, obviously, I guess, but it's a much bigger, heavier vise. This is the vise that I salvaged from the farm about 10 years ago, a little over 10 years ago. So, if this wasn't being used for anything, I pulled it out. It was all locked up, and then I just took it all apart, greased it, mounted it here, and it's been here ever since, and it's been working fine. But so obviously on a wooden bench is obviously not the most ideal thing, but since this thing is so heavy, I actually put a leg under it. That's what this is here. this leg, I put that there. That wasn't there. I put that there because I thought the vise would be too heavy for the wood, the wood that's here. So that leg is just sitting in there. It's not screwed in or anything. It's just wedged in there, but it seems to be helping it. So, but they say that if you can find either, I guess it would either be a piece of pipe or a socket. You can use a socket. And it would have to be, I don't know, I guess slightly, I don't know if it had to be the same size as your ball joint or a little bit bigger. I don't remember what the video said. But I guess apparently that just helps drive it out. It helps drive out your, well, actually what you need, the socket would drive it out, but you would need a piece of pipe or something. You probably could use another socket if you really wanted to get stupid with it. Basically, that second socket would be a dead space for a place. It would become a place where the ball joint can just fall out into, and then you're done. So, and then you just reverse the steps when you want to put the new ball joint back in. So, because I looked into that because I'm kind of getting sick and tired of this, and it's like, the machine wouldn't be, you still wouldn't be able to really, you wouldn't be able to drive it, period, because you wouldn't have the charging system. That's probably another thing I should attempt to fix myself, but that's a lot of tear down. You literally have to tear this whole front end off, and then the fuel tank has to go, and then that's when you're getting into, the engine. But I think if I really wanted to take on this project, I think start with the ball joints. I think they'd be the easiest thing to do. Yes, I don't have a hydraulic press. They recommend that. They said it would be easier, but not everybody has one. Not everybody has the money to get one. I've been wanting to get one for a number of years and have it here in my shop, but I just never got around to it. I got one saved on Hobart Freight or Harbor Freight, whatever you want to call them people. They got a fairly cheap one. I think it's still a 20-ton, but it's more than enough, obviously. But I think they only won like $250 for it, maybe $300. I don't really know. So wouldn't be a total loss, It wouldn't be a waste of money there. But I just don't have the money for it. So I don't know. It might be better off just to maybe just order the parts and then save them, and then just order the hydraulic press and then just do it the correct way, and not even bother with the vise. But and I was correct too. I knew that from the very beginning, where the A-arms connect into the frame. That's obviously where it pivots as well. There's actually, I don't want to say that there's two different bushings in there, but the main bushing is a steel bushing, and then they have the two little rubber bushings at the ends. And there's that same guy that was replacing the ball joint. He actually had to replace the bushings that were in the A-arm, and that's actually not too bad. That actually looks like it would be fairly easy. He says you do need the correct size socket, which he says that in the video, and then you need a pretty long extension. Well, I got plenty of extensions, so you have to go in. I think it basically would be right where where the winch is at. You got to go in there somewhere to get to at least this front, lower A-arm bolt. So, but I think to replace, since I see it in a video, and then there's actually, like I said, the guy actually was decent, like he just wasn't, he wasn't a redneck. He wasn't, he just wasn't a normal person. He was actually a company, and he actually knew what the frick he was talking about. So, but since I've actually seen it now, because I've never seen it done, it doesn't really look all that, scary. It's not that big of a deal, but again, it would be new territory to something I've never touched. Well, I guess you never really learn until you just fuck around with it. And honestly, Big Red's to that point now where if you break him, who gives a fuck? He's already shot to begin with. He is if I really wanted to, I could just retire this machine and be done with it. Just either sell it to somebody else, let them deal with it, or to sell it as a parts machine, or let somebody rob parts off of it if they really wanted to. He's got almost 9,000 miles. But I wanted to at least run him up to 10,000 miles and then see where he'd be from there. But since he wanted to crap out so early, not that I really blame him all that freaking much, because a lot of this was snow plowing. And that's what's going to fuck up your ball joints in a hurry. I think if I never had the snow plow on Big Red and never plowed snow all those years, I bet you those ball joints would still be perfectly fine. There would be some wear there, but they wouldn't be to the extent that they're at now. So. But unfortunately, you got to jack the machine up. Of course, I don't have the proper stuff for that either. I mean, I got jack stands, but they're not. It's not the correct stuff. That guy actually had like a scissor jack kind of thing. It was kind of weird, but he basically just picked up the whole front end of the machine, and that was good to go there. So I don't have that. All I have is a 2-ton bottle jack, which is more than enough to pick up this machine, and then I got a couple of jack stands, but they're actually defective. They actually say not to use them. I actually did get a recall letter on them a couple of years ago, but they said to take it to your local Harbor Freight store there, and then they'll swap you out with new ones, or they can give you your cash back, whatever. But I never did it because my nearest dealer is over an hour away, and it's just not worth it. And so I think it just mostly sounded like if you jerked them around a lot, the safety stuff can fail and then it comes crashing down. Well, just be careful, don't jerk the machine around too bad and you should be fine. But I don't know. So I don't know. You could jack it up and then just put a bunch of boards and stuff under it and then put the weight of the machine on the board too. That would, be good too. So instead of those jack stands, but whatever. That's what they're there for. So, but I don't know. I don't know what those ball joints cost from Polaris. I think there's another company out there that makes like a heavy duty version of that. But I don't think I need a heavy-duty version. I can just get regular factory Polaris ones and it'll be just fine. So, but I don't know. So, but that's what I found out anyway, is that the ball joints really aren't that big of a deal. Unfortunately, you got to take the tire off, but that's really about it. And you got to jack it up. So, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know if there is any slop in those back bushings. The guy said the reason why those were shot on his machine, or the machine I was working on, was because they never greased it. There is grease points or grease jerks on there. You are supposed to grease them. I mean, yeah, you can grease them and they're still going to wear down, but they're not going to wear down, for many, many years. Like this, they're going to wear down very quickly if you don't grease them. So, yeah. But like I said, I don't know if on Big Red, if there's any slop in them or not. You won't know until you take the tire off and you get that A-arm free. But my theory is if I can do it and be comfortable with it, well, then it wouldn't be that big of a deal going into the future. But it's just, yeah, I don't know. I'm going to have to take my time with it. I'm really going to have to study it and then take a risk and then just see what comes free and what I can do. But since Big Red is technically not running anymore, then I can dick around with it. I can do whatever the hell I want. So, but because now I got the Tahoe and I don't want to put all that wear and tear on the Tahoe, but it's looking like it's going to be that way for at least a couple more years. I know for 2024, for sure, I won't be doing anything with him besides probably trying to order some parts here and there. I might see what those ball joints cost from Polaris, order them, see what the bushings cost. I probably won't need the bushings, but, you know, you might as well have them in stock, and then if they get destroyed later on, well, then you have them in stock. So it won't be that big of a deal. And then, like I said, the charging system, that's where it's going to get to be more of a nightmare. And there is a video on that. I don't think it was very, very good, but it was decent enough, I guess. But basically, yeah, you had to pull at least from here. From here, everything forward had to come off. I think the tires had to come off. I don't think the A-arms had to. I think they could have stayed. And then the fenders have to come off. The rack has to come off. Yeah, everything has to come off. And then the worst thing is the fuel tank. That has to come off. Well, my fuel tank's full. So, and I don't think there's a drain on it. So I would have to probably, I don't know how heavy it would be full of fuel, but you might be asking for trouble doing that. So, stupid deer, get out of here. So I might have to buy like a little electric pump and pump the fuel out of my tank, you know, to get it as empty as humanly possible, and then remove the tank from there. So I don't know. That just seems like a lot of work for something like that. But I don't know. I think even if I could just at least replace the bolt joints myself, that would lower the bill quite a bit, you know. And then if I didn't feel comfortable messing with the charging system, well, then I could take it to the repair shop and let them deal with it, you know. Then there would be less to deal with, right? So then that would only leave the charging system and then the exhaust system, which, I mean, again, the exhaust system I think I could probably do myself because there's really nothing there. I mean, I've removed these panels so many times that, you know, this panel has to come off. This little black panel has to come off. Sometimes the steps have to come off. I've had them off a couple times already before. For something else, I don't remember what. The seat has to come off, and then to really get into the exhaust system, then I think this fender has to come off so you can get to that thing completely. So, but this will probably be over the summer. I'm not going to worry about it now. So right now I want to get my mower deck back up and working. So I'm going to have to replace that spindle drive. And I don't know. I mean, I guess looking at it, it doesn't look too bad. I guess I kind of wonder sometimes if they'll give me the right parts, or if they'll give me the parts that I actually need they might give me one part, but then maybe I'm missing another, you know, and then you got to wait another week to even get those parts, you know, the ones that they've either forgot to give you or that you didn't think you needed, but you needed. So, but I already know for the spindle drive, you know, I'm going to need that piece, but then I'm also going to need new bolts. I don't really want to reuse my old ones. I'm sure they're okay, but I would rather just replace it with new hardware, so then I don't have to worry about it for a few years. So, yeah. So maybe sometime we'll look into that. I don't know, but